Welcome to Stream of Consciousness. Let's talk today about Jack Teixeira and the classified documents. Hi, I'm Kevin. We're going to deal with this particular topic because it's in the news. So let's just go ahead and get into that real quick. Now, in a nutshell here, Jack Teixeira is in the Air National Guard. He was arrested yesterday in connection with the transmission of classified defense information. The FBI took Teixeira into custody earlier this afternoon without incident. So he wasn't necessarily running or anything like that. And that's just, pretty anodyne statement there on Reuters. Now, here's the problem. And, okay, first off, I was in the military. If you're leaking documents, if you take any document, outside of its proper place, you are violating the law, and you should face consequences for that. But there is an issue. He wasn't doing it for espionage reasons. He was actually trying to impress a small group of his friends online about certain topics that he felt strongly about. Now, many people are not really getting this, and that is, what did the documents actually talk about? Well, they talked about misinformation that the U.S. federal government or the Biden administration was relating about Ukraine, about troop numbers, the number of people who had died on the Ukraine side and on the Russian side, things the U.S. federal government in vis-a-vis the Biden administration were doing against some of our allies, and just a set of things that were embarrassing to the U.S. federal government. Now, in arresting this young man, there are some implicit statements that are being made. First and foremost, the documents are real. They're not something that somebody just made up out of whole cloth. That the information being conveyed in those documents hasn't been altered. If these were seemingly real documents, but it was all bumpkus, not real, then it wouldn't be an issue. You wouldn't arrest somebody for that kind of thing. Past that, something that is also being implicitly stated with the arrest of this young man is that the Biden administration has been lying to the American public about the content of these documents. Now, if this man were to get let's just step back. When it came to Edward Snowden, my main criticism of Edward Snowden isn't that he leaked the information to the press. It's that he ran to Russia to seek a protection from being arrested. His concern wasn't, as much that what the government was doing. I mean, I'm sure he can say that, but he was really concerned about being arrested. Now, Bradley Manning, Chelsea Manning, whatever you want to call him now, he didn't run. He faced the music and did get put in prison, but was later released. And that would have happened likely to Edward Snowden as well. Somebody that's blowing a whistle is blowing the whistle, whether they blow the whistle to a small cadre of people or to a media organization. Ultimately, though, you are more protected in your justifications if you leak to the media versus that small group of friends. Now, my big issue with all of this is that we have a two-tier justice system. When agents of the FBI or the Department of Defense or the security state leak to USA Today, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, the New York Times, the Washington Post, nobody is rushing out to try to identify that leaker and arrest them. In fact, the FBI will engage in what they call strategic leaks of classified or otherwise information that would, if somebody else were to leak it, would get them arrested. And so you can have a situation where people that are in the bureaucracy leak information and nothing happens to them. The only reason I think this person is being pursued is that the leaks were damaging to the bureaucracy, to the security state. So they, must silence this person. They must go after him. And his trial will be, it'll be held in a situation where it's classified. The press isn't allowed to hear the arguments. In fact, his defense will be restricted on what information they can relate to show that he's actually a whistleblower versus somebody who's trying to conduct espionage. He didn't leak this information to Russia or China or Iran or one of our enemies. He leaked it to a small group of friends and then eventually leaked it in a wider setting because he thought people should know about it. Now, his mistake was not calling Fox News because they would have been more sympathetic in leaking it to them. And again, Fox News would have probably cropped out the information or the evidence of who he was. But that being said, much of this, and I think that if he has a defense, if Mr. Teixeira has any recourse in court, it's going to fall back to the Pentagon Papers and the precedent that was set with the Pentagon Papers. If you don't know what the Pentagon Papers is, let's pull up the wiki here. I already pulled that up beforehand. The Pentagon Papers, officially titled The Report of the Office of the Secretary of Defense Vietnam Task Force, is a United States Department of Defense history of the United States political and military involvement in Vietnam from 1945 to 1967. Released by Daniel Ellsberg, who had worked on the study, they were first brought to the attention of the public on the front page of the New York Times in 1971. There was a whole series of decisions made by the Supreme Court vis-a-vis the Pentagon Papers. And in a nutshell, what was ultimately decided is that Daniel Ellsberg did not go to jail because of his leaking of these classified documents, which in every way, shape, and form were as damning as the documents that Mr. Teixeira leaked. So, I think that a good attorney will be able to go and it doesn't necessarily matter whether you leaked it to a specific news source or to the world in general. He found the information damning to the arguments being put forth by a executive branch and the officials who represent that branch. The information he leaked demonstrated that they were lying about a variety of issues and were acting outside of good faith. Now, You can say he didn't leak it in good faith, and that might be true, but that doesn't invalidate the information that he leaked and the narrative that it destroys. And just as Daniel Ellsberg, the information he leaked destroyed the narrative that was officially being propagated by the US federal government during Vietnam, the information that Jack Teixeira leaked, it's a Portuguese name, I'm having trouble with it, sorry, also destroys a narrative that has been pushed on us the past 2 years. So I'm of the, you know, I think that Daniel Ellsberg should have had a day in court and been vindicated in his day in court. And I do believe here it should talk more about that. In fact, let's go ahead and click on Ellsberg right here. Um, yeah, it was upheld in the New York Times case in the Supreme Court has called it one of the modern pillars of the First Amendment. The First Amendment just doesn't protect news organizations. It protects American citizens, and that needs to be really, reinforced over and over again. Um, I think that this young man's attorneys will be able to utilize some of the precedents set in the Pentagon Papers to help himself. But all that being said, anybody who leaks classified information should go to court, should have that day in court. The state should be able to argue that they are, a threat for doing so, but that person should be able to also argue that they are not a threat, that they actually have revealed malfeasance on the part of the government. My big concern with all of this is that Hillary did not get her day in court. James Comey, Andrew McCabe, Peter Strzok, a whole plethora of people within the FBI and in the security state at the NSA, CIA, they've never gotten that day in court. They've leaked in favor and to help their cause, their side, help the federal government. But at the same time, their leaks often went against the American public. Hillary Clinton having and this is the two tiers of justice. Hillary Clinton having a classified documents on a insecure. Now that they'll claim, oh, it was secure. No, one of the first principles of networked computers is they are inherently insecure. I won't say it's the first principle. It is a principle of a networked computer. The only truly secure computer system is a computer in a Faraday cage with no network connection. That is is as secure as you can actually get with a computer. Any computer connected to a network is liable to be that's not in a Faraday cage. You can have two computers in a Faraday cage connected by network, and that's fine. But if you have a computer that's connected to a public network, it's not secure. You cannot really call it secure. You can call it protected and say, I'm protecting it with layers of security, but it's not a secure system. And that's because every layer of security that you put on a public on a system connected to a public network can be cracked. And for somebody like me who was in the United States Navy and had security clearances, the rationales that were given for not prosecuting Hillary Clinton were ridiculous. She purposely set up a server. She set up a system where people in the State Department would funnel classified information via email to that insecure server, and nothing happened to her. And the whole rationale was, well, we didn't think she intended to violate the law. How can somebody at that level of government not understand what they were doing? Um, it's beyond me that that kind of thing is painted over, is brushed under the carpet, and decided, oh, it's nothing. And Trump has classified documents in his house. Biden has classified documents in his house. Who are they going after? I didn't vote for Trump, but a lot of how the state is treating anybody who goes against the state it's duplicitous, it's dichotomous, and the media not picking up on that and putting it out there just kind of it reminds me of the whole NPR thing. Well, we're funded by the government. We only make arguments that seem to favor the bureaucracy and the government. But no, you can't call us state funded. We live in crazy times. I'm really sorry about that, but we do. All right. Well, that's all I can really say about it. And I'm pretty disappointed that the American public, this boy needs to be arrested. He needs to have his day in court. But at the same time, that does not negate the fact that what he leaked shows our government is lying to us. And that shouldn't be forgotten either. But the media is papering over that. In fact, the media is who helped find him and get him arrested. And that is ridiculous. That is not the role of the media, the news media in the United States. Yet that's the role they've chosen to take, so long as it helps their buddies. All right, that's it. Peace out.